Welcome to the Rachel Varga podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Varga, double board certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures performed. I'm an international clinical trainer for other physicians and nurses as well, celebrity skin expert, having been featured on some of the world's top proactive aging podcasts, and much, much more. Learn more at rachelvarga.ca and enjoy today's episode. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode on the Rachel Varga podcast. I have a very exciting episode in store for you today. We are going to be discussing summer cleansing tips, which will help not only the body, mind, spirit, energy, but of course the skin and clear different skin things up. Sometimes if we experience things like rashes, eczema, psoriasis, acne, and other type of lesions on the skin, there can be a root cause. And believe it or not, that can even be related to things like parasites. So we are going to discuss strategies to purify yourself and also maintain that more pure state. And you might be thinking to yourself, why should I bother listening to this episode on parasites? Well, 1 in 2 humans have an active parasitic infection or are also infected or have an overproduction of things like yeast, fungi, maybe more toxins than you should have, and also other organisms. So what we're going to talk about today are options and strategies that can clear things out a little bit. Just as we clean our homes every change of season, we want to make sure that we're also thinking about doing cleanses. Now, back in the day, I was told that, cleanses aren't necessary. The body does a great job of doing it itself. But there are certain things that we do need to spend a little bit more time and attention on and strategize appropriately to make sure that we are as clean as possible with our skin, with our gut, with our organs, with our blood, and also the space in between ourselves, which is the interstitium, or that extracellular, intracellular fluid that, yes, can also accumulate bugs and all sorts of things. So we have a returning guest on the show, Sonia Magruder. She's an integrative nutrition health coach, and let me tell you a little bit about her. She's passionate about helping others practice better self-care through health education and nutrition. After a personal health journey, Sonia transitioned from being a stressed out, full-time, successful real estate broker to following her passion for helping others get healthier, as well as helping many build their own organic nutrition businesses. And I will be the first to tell you, I should be Sonia's latest testimonial poster girl, because she has changed my life with this specific cleanse that she sent me a couple of months ago when she was initially on the show. And now I've had a chance to go through it. And just the impacts that I've experienced are quote unquote limitless. You know, that movie where there's that drug that people take, Bradley Cooper takes it, and he just can do all sorts of crazy things. I literally felt like I was on that as I was detoxing and clearing things out and getting my energy back as an already relatively healthy young woman in my mid-late 30s. I had no idea what I was missing out on. So welcome back to the show, Sonia Magruder, Integrative Nutrition Health Coach. How are you today?
I'm great, Rachel. Great to see you again. I'm so happy to be here again with you and so thrilled with your results.
Yes, the results are still coming, which is great. And, I'm just continuing to feel better and better and better. But I had just no idea how much I needed to do this type of cleanse. So tell us about the Purium cleanse, where people can get it, some of the studies behind it, and if the results that I experienced are pretty typical, because I would say they're nothing short of lifestyle transformative.
Yeah, those are very typical results. When we were speaking earlier, some of the things that you mentioned, which I know we're going to delve into that a little bit more, but you mentioned how your energy increased, your sugar cravings got squashed, and so many other things, better sleep, deep, restful sleep. So we hear this all the time. The good news is we have a link. Right. And I know that you don't talk about anything, like you wouldn't be bringing me back and talking about this unless you were a believer yourself, because you are super picky and, you have high standards, which I love. You have very high integrity, high standards. So I don't mean, and when I say picky, that's what I mean, meticulous. And, you personally experienced it. So everything you just said, you're already you're a biohacker, you're a clean eater already. Like, you're doing all the things. And I've heard this before from other people similar to you, Rachel, who they are eating clean all the time. They're eating organic. They're doing sauna. They're doing all different things. And then they get on this program, this 30-day reset, and they can't believe the level that it took them to, that they could even feel that much better. So imagine someone who's not already eating that clean, and maybe they're still on the standard American diet, or they're trying to transition to do better. Imagine what it does for them. So this, I mean, it up levels no matter where you're at on the spectrum of your lifestyle and your nutrition.
And also come to think about it, one of the reasons why I biohack so much is because of a couple car crashes, dealing with things like pain and headaches. And come to think of it, now that I've just done quite an extensive cleaning out the cobwebs and all the things that were growing in me that I didn't know about, I actually haven't had a headache. And I was getting them about 1 to 2 times a week. And in fact, right before I started to notice some die-offs, literally, I had a really bad headache, and to the effect I wasn't getting relief from something, which was unusual. So when you're doing this type of cleansing, it is really important to, as Sonia said, to integrate things like biohacking to support the detoxification process, because when you're doing a really good cleanse, you are going to get die-offs. There are organisms that are going to be dying and releasing toxins and all sorts of things that can just have really interesting effects depending on which organ system. So say, for example, the central nervous system, we can have organisms and parasites embedded there. And when they get released, you can actually have different visual disturbances. And I actually experienced this, and it felt like I was on a limitless drug. So what we talk about here is not medical advice, it's educational information only, but I have done quite a bit of deep dives on the work of various parasitologists. So I'm really excited to be talking about this with you. You mentioned people eating organic greens.
Mm-hmm.
Lettuce is one of the key ways that people can actually pick up different organisms. So you got to wash things really well. You got to follow that alkaline diet. And that's what the Purium Cleanse did for me, is it got me into a more alkaline state. When you are in a more alkaline state, you're going to be less susceptible to having things grow and, build up inside of you as well. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's so important. And the power shake, which is a key component of this cleanse. And when we say cleanse, by the way, it's very gentle. It's very gentle. And there's no, for anyone who maybe is very new to this, there's no laxative effect or anything like that. It's just a gentle detoxification and then flooding the body with nutrient dense superfood. So the power shake is loaded with greens, and they're very alkalizing greens. And it's also got healthy fats in it from the rice bran. Some of the greens that are in there are wheatgrass, not just wheatgrass powder, wheatgrass juice powder, the good stuff that's full of nutrients. And the way I know the owners personally, so I'm going to share a little inside intel. The way they harvest the wheatgrass, they don't wait for it to grow past that first joint in the grass, in the blade, because that's where all the most dense nutrients are. So it just grows a little bit and they harvest it. It grows a little, where other companies will let it go very, very tall because you get more production that way and it's more cost effective. So they're super picky and meticulous. Dave and Amy are the two owners, and they're based in California, in LA, and they are the manufacturer. I've walked through the manufacturing facility and see how they do things. So yes, the greens that you get, the nutrients from that shake, you take it twice a day. There you go. And by the way, that's a compostable and biodegradable pouch. The company has transitioned to being almost, except for one product, plastic free. Completely plastic free, except for that one product, the aminos, kind of a soft tablet. So they're still working on that packaging. There you go. They're still in the bottle there. So the greens, everything works synergistically. You're taking the power shake twice a day. Each one of those shakes has the nutrition of about 6 superfood salads. That shaker cup that Rachel just held up used to be plastic. And because they're transitioning and now they give you a stainless steel shaker cup, and they didn't raise the price with everything, inflation, everything going on. This breaks down to $5.50 a meal. It replaces 2 meals a day because you're taking the shake and 5 aminos each time, the protein, And that is a full meal, and it gives you satiety. It's really satisfying because it feeds you on the cellular level. And that's just one part of it. I mentioned it works synergistically. There's a gut health component with the Biometic that's got prebiotic and probiotic to nurture and rebalance the gut microbiome. And it also has an ingredient blend that removes glyphosate from the body, that horrible toxic chemical, the herbicide that is infiltrated. It's insidious. It's so hard to avoid exposure. Even if we eat organic, it's in the air, it's in the water. So yeah, so the Biometic it really helps. You mentioned the supporting detoxification. We want to make sure our detox pathways are open when we're doing this. And the Biometic helps with elimination. I have a doctor on my team who he was working primarily with cancer patients. He's a naturopath with his emphasis is in oncology. First of all, he said all the cancer patients tested their glyphosate levels tested literally off the charts. Like there was no higher place for it to go, the levels. So he gets them on this. And then he was telling me about actually a girl that worked in his office. She was eliminating once a week. I mean, I can't even imagine how uncomfortable that would be. And she started getting on the Biometic and getting on the cleanse, and she started eliminating 2 times a day. So it definitely helps with that. But again, it does it in a gentle way. So it's not a laxative effect. It's very gentle, and it's a simple capsule. It's easy to do. Simplicity is important because I feel like if something's too complicated, people won't do it. But this is really simple. We have a simple schedule. You do the same thing every day. You eat food with it. You eat healthy, whole food with it. It's not a deprivation plan. It's not a liquid diet. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle transition.
I personally felt it was really easy to follow, and I got to the point where my appetite went down about 80 to 90%. So a lot of people end up doing cleanses to slim down a little bit. Now, what are we potentially doing and what's going on when we're feeling bloated, right? So some of the questions I have in today's episode are: how can we optimize our summer cleanse for clear skin, a slimmer waistline, and less bloating? A lot of times bloating is actually related to toxins or organism buildup. What are a few important aspects of cleansing that also involve detoxifying, and how we can incorporate cleansing into our lifestyle easily and achieve noticeable results without getting overwhelmed? And this cleanse did that for me. There's this easy to follow card, right? I'm not paid to talk about this. This is just like, when I find something I love, I'm about to preach from mountaintops. I did that with EMF protection strategies. I did like 5 episodes. And so just hold on, because cleanse, this is happening. This little card here that comes with the cleanse made it so easy to know what to do on each week's and give me reminders. But the crazy thing is that when I'm taking certain supplements and I know I'm feeling my body appropriately with the right nutrients, I feel it. I don't have food cravings. My appetite goes way down because I know that I'm getting the right nutrition that I need. And I was overeating before because I was not just eating for one, I was eating for many different types of organisms. And when you go through a proper cleanse and through the elimination process, you see what is coming out of you. You're like, holy moly. I had no symptoms of having an overproduction of things in my body. None. No skin issues at all. So imagine all of those tuning in here. 1 in 2 people have an active overgrowth of things like yeast, fungi, toxicity for things like glyphosate you mentioned, and parasites. And yes, cancer, autoimmune, gut, skin conditions. There's a huge link to parasites. And what really bothers me is when I did my traditional nursing training, there was 1 page in this huge textbook out of all the textbooks that was on parasites. And I'm not quite sure why there isn't an emphasis on parasite eradication and all of these different toxins that accumulate in us. It kind of makes you wonder, why are we being programmed to not do active monthly cleanses like other cultures and countries do? Like in the Philippines, before they send their kids to school, they deworm them. We deworm our cats and dogs. If you have a cat and dog, you probably have parasites.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Produce, pets, sushi is a biggie. A lot of people,
Lettuce,
lettuce, yeah.
swimming outside.
Mm-hmm. So it's important to do this, like you said, couple times a year at least. I think it's a great idea. And then the really nice thing is we have a maintenance component to this, because some of the other benefits that we talked about and that you experienced were better digestion, less bloating, better sleep, losing the sugar cravings,
Mental clarity,
mental clarity.
focus.
Yes, because
Crazy.
the gut brain connection,
My vision actually even improved.
oh, wow.
Yeah, because I had a ton of floaters and I have 10 plus years experience in ophthalmology and oculoplastics. I never once heard of the connection between floaters and potential parasites.
That is so interesting. Yeah, so I hear this all the time about the brain fog, the mental focus and the brain fog. People are like, and mood. I've got a lady on this right now, and she's amazing. She's one of those people that's already a super clean eater. She actually runs a gut health program at one of the biggest health coaching schools that there is. Like, everybody's heard of it. And she started doing this, and she's like, my husband is asking me what I'm on because he can't believe how good my mood is. And I'm like the Energizer Bunny. She's like, I'm 60 years old and I feel 30. It's that limitless feeling again. So it's incredible. Like, it checks off so many boxes and all works together. And the protein component is awesome. You know, your husband, he's an athlete. And I was telling you, I've got a real good friend on my team who's a champion, number 6 in the world boxer. And he's actually the Canadian champion, but he's in Las Vegas, and he swears by these products. And when he's training, he's taking the aminos protein. He takes it daily, but when he's training, he ups the amount. It's such a clean source of protein, and there's 36 clinical studies on it, and it's pre-digested. So even if someone's intermittent fasting, won't break the fast, they could take them in the morning. 10 of these tablets, because of the high absorption rate, gives you the same protein synthesis as a 12 and a half ounce steak. So it's very interesting because it's a 99% utilization rate. So it helps the body, helps to burn fat and build muscle.
Yeah, I felt like the Biome, which is one of the supplements that comes in the kit, there's the protein, the super aminos, and the cleanser. I felt like they actually really protected my gut. And then I actually ran out of the cleanser, and I was like, oh no, I need more of these things. So in the kit that Sonia and I have put together in the link of this episode, you can get the cleanse I'm talking about. And we actually have more of certain things that I wanted to specifically add so that you don't have to do like a second order to get what you need the first time around. But I do want you guys to maintain this stuff. And the funny thing is, we're doing this conversation on an actual full moon. And it's practice with a number of people. Now, I like to observe and study high vibe, radiant humans, the healthiest of the healthiest, and then report back to you. I wrote a whole ebook, Unlocking Your Vitality. I'm not studying the sick people. I'm studying the healthy people and what they're doing. And a lot of my clients are reaching out to me like, yeah, I've been doing regular cleansing all the time, integrated with the full moon, or, oh my gosh, I've never heard about this. I'm going to be doing this. Thank you so much for sharing. But it's actually good practice to be taking some of the products like in the cleanse are around the full moon for maintenance, because you've probably heard of people getting a little bit crazy around the full moon. It's actually parasites acting up potentially.
Wow. I think there's a full moon tonight.
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah. Because they're composed of mainly water. And obviously the moon is powerful enough to move the tides. And so it's just funny. I'm just understanding so much more about ourselves as organisms and how we are rhythmic beings, and integrating and maintaining a clear vessel alongside the full moon, doing an intentional detoxification. The cleanser product that comes in the cleanse is something that I'm going to be taking regularly because it has all of those actives to help to support die-offs. Now, I want to talk a little bit about die-offs in a second, but first of all, I want to discuss a little bit more about the Super Amino 23, because these are the tablets that you're taking anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day. And what exactly does this guy do?
Okay, so I touched on it a little bit. It's a very high quality protein. The Super Aminos 23 were developed by a doctor originally for patients who were bedridden, like people who were paralyzed, people in comas, cancer patients who had muscle wasting, and they were to help them with their sarcopenia, their muscle wasting, and also older people. As people get older, they lose muscle. So these actually put the muscles in an anabolic state and help you build muscle even when you're not working out. They help to build muscle. There's so many clinical studies. They even help tighten the skin, which I know that's like speaking your language, Rachel. You got a little excited about that, right? So there's a clinical study on that, on how they tighten the skin. They are pre-digested, as I mentioned. So they go through the small intestine into the bloodstream within 23 minutes or less. And there's virtually zero impact on the kidneys because 99% utilization, only 1% metabolic waste. Most proteins, typically the absorption is 14 to 22%. An egg is higher. Egg is maybe 48%, but the rest is wasted out. The rest is metabolic waste or nitrogen catabolite. So this is like the cleanest, purest, most impactful protein.
One of the other things I wanted to mention before we talk about the apothecary is when you're doing a cleanse and then you go and do social things, like I don't drink alcohol anymore. And one of my cheats for getting around this, so I feel like I'm still getting something tasty, in the evening. Sometimes we like to have a nice cocktail or make something socially. But the apothecary product that comes with the cleanse mixed with filtered carbonated mineral water and a couple of purified water ice cubes. Wow, that is my mocktail of choice at the moment. That's how I really like to consume the apothecary. What about you?
Same way. I didn't even know you were doing it that way. We were on the same page. I do it with sparkling mineral water. That is my favorite. It's such a treat. I used to drink kombucha a lot. I don't drink it anymore because I do this instead. This is more satisfying to me.
Some of us can actually get some issues with having too much kombucha. There's mold, there's active cultures. Like for sure, supporting your microbiome with certain active cultures is great. But I was chatting with one of my girlfriends and I was like, you got to do this cleanse. She's super healthy. But she's like, yeah, I mean, I have some psoriasis sometimes. I was like, you got to do this cleanse. And she's like, well, I have kombucha every day. I'm like, maybe too much of a good thing is not a good thing. We really have to watch as women. We tend to have things growing in us a little bit more than guys do, just the way that we're built in our physiology. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I totally agree. I think it can be too much of a good thing. And that's why I used to like it. Like it was a treat. I like the taste of it and everything. But now I don't even want it because I love the apothecary with the sparkling water. And it's tart, but it tastes really good. Like it kind of tastes like cherry pie. It's the Montmorency cherry is the type of cherry it is. And I think that's what they use at those super tart cherries for, not that I eat cherry pie. I can't remember the last time I did, but that taste. So it's really important also when anything to do with cherries that it's certified organic because cherries are one of the most highly sprayed crops and trees. So this is certified organic. It's very concentrated. You only need 1 or 2 tablespoons. And I'll have mine with the sparkling water like you do about an hour and a half before bed. And I get the most deep, restful sleep because it's the only plant that I know of that has naturally occurring melatonin. So everything they do, everything the owners do, the formulator, which is Dave in this company, their philosophy is all based on whole food. So everything comes from whole food sources. There's no synthetic isolates. So it's a difference between, taking like a synthetic melatonin or this, where it's part of the whole food that the body can actually recognize and assimilate. Also, as you know, Rachel, very high in antioxidants, and tart cherries are high in anti-inflammatory properties. So it's a real super fruit, really healthy to take it every day. Sometimes I'll have it during the day too. I'll just mix it with the sparkling water and just have it. It doesn't make me sleepy during the day, but when I take it before bed, I sleep like a baby.
It's been getting a little bit warmer where I live, and it's just been nice as a cool, refreshing mocktail. And I had some friends over and I actually served it as a mocktail too. And it's
Nice.
such a fun drink, and you're serving literally something that's tasty, delicious, and healthy. So you look just like a very smart hostess. And
Right.
then they're like, "Oh, what is this?" It's like, "Oh, it's part of a cleanse I'm doing." "Oh, you're on a cleanse? Why are you doing that?" Well, let me tell you. You should probably do it too.
Yeah. We want people to get the full range of the benefits because there's so many benefits from doing this and using all these different components together.
Well, the skin benefits is just huge. Like, just think about for a moment how many people you listening know that suffer from acne, that suffer from diffuse redness to the eye area, redness to the eyes, puffy eyes, hyperpigmentation, acne that isn't really acne, but some other type of breakout, eczema, psoriasis, like I mentioned,
Yeah.
scalp issues, issues with the fingernails. Before you do anything, you need to make sure that you're purifying your body, mind, spirit, energy, your environment, air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, and now adding in my personal journey and what I'm literally preaching on the show here is to make sure you're doing a cleanse that's adequate, that you're going to be able to be detoxifying and using your biohacking and saunaing at the same time, and then maintaining it. Because there's no point investing in, topicals and this, that, the other thing, if you're not getting to the root cause, which again, 1 and 2 of you may very well be an active overgrowth of yeast, fungi, toxin accumulation, and parasites. Why is it, do you think, that we are not talking about parasites in the mainstream? And we've gone through a time in our culture across the globe where we've been dealing with a respiratory disease. Now, here's the crazy part. Parasitologists will say things to the effect of parasites can live in the liver, the hepatic portal system, as well as in the respiratory tract. Some of them get lodged in the lungs, and then you cough them up and then swallow it, and then it gets in your GI tract, and also accumulating in the diaphragm. So if you have parasites in your respiratory tract and your diaphragm, you're going to be experiencing breathing concerns. And have we not just gone through a couple of years of a respiratory disease? Why hasn't this been talked about? And then you see certain medications on the market that are anti-parasitics that have been completely, I can't even get it where I live. And there's just been this huge stigma. And I can't help but think that there's something else going on here. What do you think?
It's very interesting. Is it a coincidence or not? It's kind of odd when I think I know which medication you're talking about. We actually can still get it here in Florida. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that is, but I'm glad we're talking about it and creating awareness. And you're doing an amazing job of creating awareness, Rachel, all the time through your podcast. Like, you're really doing such a great service to people and educating constantly. And it really is something that needs to be talked about, because I feel bad for people. I feel bad when people are not given options or educated on some of these things where they're not feeling good. They may be chronically ill and they don't know why, and also can't get a diagnosis so often. But they're like, but my blood works fine, but I don't feel right. I'm sick all the time. I don't feel good. I know my body. I know how I feel. So I think, again, what you're doing, and you have, your background as an RN is a lot of cred, but I love how you've gone into the holistic side and the integrative and the biohacking and all of that.
Thank you. And some of the key healers that I love and observe, I love looking at healers that are in their 60s to 80s because they've been around the block, and they usually have that allopathic training alongside the functional. And I'm telling everybody right here, I see myself as that healer in their 60s that's just doing all sorts of really cool things and integrating whatever is available, both from Europe and also North America. Europeans are way ahead of us in regards to different forms of functional healing. So personally, Sonia, thank you for your compliments. I've invested in over 8 years of post-secondary education. That's a lot of money. Okay. That's about 100 grand worth of education. And I never was really one page in the textbook, And the concept of cleansing was drilled into me as not being necessary. The body does a great job of detoxifying itself. Well, I'm here to tell you, we got to give it some extra support. And the other thing, when you mentioned, Sonia, that people have things that, their labs come back normal. The thing with stool testing and parasite testing is a lot of times the tests themselves are inadequate. And it's also who's looking and analyzing the test sample as well. So during this deep dive, I do have the ability as a researcher to do deep dives and then come back on the other side and not get sucked into the rabbit hole like some people do.
Yeah.
But parasitologists are not employed at hospitals. So someone comes in with something or other, central nervous system disturbance, and they go straight to a neurologist, when really, how difficult would it be to do a simple parasite analysis and yeast, fungi, toxin panel, and then have it looked at by a parasitologist? Very inexpensive testing, I might add. It's not that expensive, but they're not employed. And when you hear parasitology, sometimes people think parapsychology, right? Or I think in Western culture, it's parasites are beneath us, right? We don't need to pay attention to that. We're not in a third world country. We're in a first world country. But in 2019 to 2020, looking at the data through Statistics Canada, there was a rate that doubled. And that rate of mortality, basically looking at mortality rates by type, doubled with the section of unknown etiology or unknown cause. And I actually emailed Stats Canada back to say, what is this? This is a huge signal. This has doubled. This is more of a problem than anything else that we're seeing in regards to signal and a rate doubling. And they said, oh yeah, to confirm, people are diagnosed, they don't know what it is, and then they die before having a diagnosis. But we're kind of we can't make other companies a lot of money if we're healthy. We make other companies a lot of money if we're sick and we're getting at symptoms and not getting to the root cause. So the whole concept of cleansing is actually quite deep. And I'm sure the founders and creators of Purium recognize this. What are they like?
What are they like? That is such a good question. I love that you asked that. So it's two people, Dave and Amy, and they actually were doing organic superfoods since the mid 90s. So, and they were doing it before there was a USDA certified organic label. They are very mission driven, very passionate. So a little bit of how Dave Sandoval, he wrote a book called The Green Foods Bible. He's super knowledgeable, but how he got into this is, if you really want to know, I'm going to give you the whole scoop. Dave had a very kind of a turbulent childhood. He ended up being homeless as a teenager, eating out of trash cans and things like that. And then one of his aunts took him in, his aunt and uncle, his aunt and her husband took him in, gave him shelter, gave him food, clothing, and he thought he was in heaven. Like, this woman was an angel to him. He's highly intelligent. He's incredibly, brilliant. And anyway, he ends up in their home. He's all comfortable now. 6 months later, his aunt passes away from a lifestyle disease. So what he didn't know at the time, all the food they had, it was highly processed foods that he was enjoying because he was homeless before, and now he's got food and everything he needs.
But it was acidic food, not alkaline food.
Yes, highly inflammatory, highly processed, what he calls frankenfoods. But he didn't know that then, but he was so devastated by the loss of this woman who kind of swooped in and saved him, that he decided, I'm going on a journey, on a quest. I'm going to find out, could this have been avoided? It was a lifestyle disease. I'm not sure which one it was, but he was determined that he was going to research and find out, and how did this happen? And this woman, she was such a good person. And he went on this journey and he started being he was mentored directly by Ann Wigmore of the Hippocrates Institute in Boston. He worked with her and other greats in the world of holistic health. So he just learned so much, and it became his mission and his passion, along with Amy, to help as many people as possible get off of processed frankenfoods and get real nutrition into their bodies, nutrient dense food that was affordable, accessible, and convenient. Because a lot of times people make these compromises because of convenience, because they're busy, they're running around like crazy, they're taking care of the kids, their jobs, whatever they're doing. And it's so easy to go through the drive-through or grab the boxed food in the grocery store. So he wanted to provide something that it's like healthy fast food. I mean, you know how easy it is to mix that shake up or to mix the apothecary with your sparkling water, but it's real food and real nutrient dense food. So they honestly, like, I know them very well. I've stayed at their homes. They are truly on this mission. That's what they care about. And they wanted to scale it and get it out to as many people as possible. And that's why they have the business model set up where people like us can share this and get rewarded for sharing. You know, if we decide we want to share it and build you mentioned, I've built a business. I've helped other people build their organic nutrition businesses because they understand word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising. And again, they want to get out to as many people as possible to help people. They're just amazing people.
It's really interesting when I try products, I can almost feel very quickly if something is in resonance with me. It feels like it's like high vibe superfood kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I really felt that with this product. And some of the things you mentioned, thank you so much for sharing about the creators and founders and the story. But a lot of us get trapped in this program that going through the drive-through, consuming that boxed prepackaged food is more convenient and less cost effective than creating whole food meals. And that's actually wrong because you'll actually end up consuming more foods because the low vibe, low nutrient foods aren't going to satisfy you. You will literally save money doing this lifestyle cleanse because you're going to be consuming less solid foods. And for me, I've always done better with having more liquid foods and superfood consumptions in a more powder liquid form throughout the day. And it's actually the best way your body will absorb nutrients. Yes, you're going to need the bulk from vegetables and leafy greens and high alkaline foods like that. But during this cleanse, you're leaving out things like meat, you're leaving out things like dairy and gluten. You're literally just chocker blocking your body full of nutrients, which is why this particular cleanse is really nice. It's different than just taking a bunch of capsules. It's you have the protein with it. You have like the apothecary that's going to hit that sweet tooth craving in the evening. You're not going to have sweet tooth cravings anymore, by the way. It's the weirdest thing. What was it like for you when you first did the cleanse?
I used to have a sweet tooth. I used to love like carrot cake with the thick icing and all those kind of things. And when I did it, the first time I did it, and I consume the products every day. I've been taking them for over 9 years. But the first time I did it, as I got just a few days in, the thought of anything sweet was repulsive to me. It was so interesting. And that's what got me on this journey because my husband and we were caregiving. I was working like 70 hours a week in real estate. He was doing the real estate investing, flipping houses, managing our rental properties. And then we were both caregiving for my mom. She was elderly and lived with us the last 2 years of her life. And when you're a caregiver, a lot of times what happens is the last person you take care of is yourself. So we had put on a lot of weight. We were waking up exhausted. We had terrible digestion, weren't sleeping good. And I knew we had to do something. And I found out about this from one of my cousins who's a health nut. I knew he was a health nut. I knew he was super picky about ingredients. And I saw him posting something on his Facebook. And I knew if he was consuming it, it had to be the best of the best because the way I knew how he operated. And we reached out and we got on this. We both did it together. And it was like an epiphany. It was like, oh my gosh. I wasn't like you back then, Rachel. I wasn't eating clean. We were going through the drive-throughs. We were eating processed foods. So I didn't know that we felt like 20 years younger. I didn't know we could feel that way. Eliminating processed foods and then just flooding the body with nutrient dense foods. It was just amazing. And I was just like blown away by it. And I was wanting, I'm like you, I was like you back then, and I still am. I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. I was like, everybody deserves to know they can feel this good. It was just, I thought, like, people don't know, like I didn't know. And I was doing those things, and I was really successful in real estate. Like, I could afford good food, but it was the convenience factor, the drive-through, or going all day without eating. And then whatever was on the counter, crackers, chips, cookies, just, oh, I'm starving, I'm famished, I'm just going to devour. And it was all junk. So the body just responds, when you do something like this. It's so appreciative when you eliminate those frankenfoods, flood it with these nutrients. And we've never looked back. And that's how I got into health coaching. I transitioned eventually out of real estate and got into health coaching because I wanted to learn more. It's so fascinating, the body and the whole world of holistic health and wellness. So that's kind of how we got here. And yes, the same thing happened to me with the sugar cravings. I was craving like cabbage with lemon juice. I was craving vegetables. It was so funny.
What about, the shadow side of cleansing? The shadow side of cleansing is the die-off and elimination process. Let's just get this out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So the die-off symptoms with parasites, you're going through it. And what happens when you're dealing with different organisms, this might sound a little bit kind of gross or not as palatable, but it's really important that you understand this. When you're doing a parasite cleanse, like my girlfriend, she's got all these gut issues and things like that. And she's like, what's this? I just want to buy something and take it. It's like, no, there's life cycles of organisms that you have to space out because you're going to have an initial die-off. And then you got to get the eggs that were hatched because now they're going to open up because the mama's passed away. And it's this whole thing. That's why you want to go at a proper cleanse with a 30 to 90 day type of going at it, if you will. And the first time I did it, I literally noticed that I was passing things. So I feel like I got that at about a month and a half in, because you're kind of starving things out and then they're going to be able to leave the body. So just don't get freaked out if you start passing things. 1 and 2 of you is going to experience that, and then just maintain it. So how can we maintain being a pure vessel, Sonia? I know that you have a great way of helping people as well.
Yeah. So one of the things is, like you mentioned, spacing it out initially. So taking the component of this is the Super Cleanser. That is the anti-parasitic one, and gentle colon cleanse. So you take that the last 10 days. It's a 30-day reset. The last 10 days, you take the Super Cleanser. Then you wait 20 days, and then you do it again for another 10 days. Rachel mentioned the eggs, the incubation period of the eggs and the hatching, and you want to come back and get those out. So
it's absolutely disgusting. Just
I know the idea of it is disgusting, but we got to do it. We got to take care of it. So the link that we've made, it has put in that extra pouch of the Super Cleanser, so that comes with one, but you want to really be able to wait that 20 days after the initial 10 and then come back with that second pouch. You'll have enough to do that. Now for maintenance, what I always recommend it's called the Core 4 Plus Immune. And that's the best thing. Set up, it's called a smart order. So you add your pack, you check out, and then it brings up a page where you set up your smart order. And the Core 4 Plus Immune is perfect to stay on track with the alkaline greens, the gut support, because we're constantly exposed to the glyphosate, unfortunately. So it's going to keep flushing that out, the aminos for the protein, and then the tart cherry at night. And you will eat your healthy whole food meals with that. The first 30 days, you eat one healthy whole food meal, fruits and veggies for snacks, healthy stuff, no processed foods. Then you continue with the maintenance. So that way you don't miss a beat. You don't want to slide back. You want to maintain the results. And most people want the increased energy, better sleep, better digestion, lift the brain fog. They don't want that just for 30 days. They want to continue to maintain it and nourish the body with these superfoods. And some people also do this for weight loss. So if there's weight to release, they will release the weight. And if there's maybe 20, if somebody has 20, 30 pounds or more, what I suggest is start with this initial 30-day and set up another one, same thing, for the next 30 days on the smart order, and then drop down to the Core 4 Plus Immune. And the immune support that comes with this is, besides the Biomedic, is great because it's the zinc product, zinc, vitamin C, A, D, and E, all from whole food sources. The zinc, it took them about 1.5 years to formulate this product because the source of the zinc, they wanted to make sure it was a whole food source. So it's from organic guava leaf extract.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And then people can work with you also, Sonia, through your website. Your contact details are linked up in the show notes as well. Love the fact that there's antioxidants in the immune support too to help with the detoxification process. But just share, most of the listeners are on the Rachel Varga podcast, the Apple, iTunes, Spotify, over YouTube, because the stuff does get censored, unfortunately, because we mentioned a few things. I'm probably going to lose monetization. It's just the nature of the beast right now. But why don't you just say your website and how people can specifically work with you, please?
Okay. So my website is soniamagruder.com, SoniaMagruder.com. Also, my Facebook is Sonia Magruder, facebook.com/Sonia Magruder. Instagram is Sonia_Magruder.
Wonderful.
And I would please feel free to reach out. I'll help you. I can help you get this set up your maintenance. You can reach out to me anytime. And like I said, I'm in Florida, so Eastern time zone, but reach out anytime through DM or private messenger, email. It's soniam@magrudergroup.com. I'll probably see the other ones first. As you know, Rachel, my emails get buried sometimes, but yeah, I would love to help you get started and enjoy these results and enjoy improved vitality and health and just all of those things that everybody wants that should be the norm, and this really does help reset and get us back in homeostasis.
And be our most purest versions. And you work with people across the globe too. We have a number of listeners in the UK and Ireland as well here on the show. So that's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to today's episode on the Rachel Varga podcast. Be sure to check out the description of this episode for specific links to purchase exactly what I love and used, and also that addition of a couple extra things to help carry you through that I thought were extra important also. Thank you, Sonia, for your time here. I look forward to having you back on the show as the resident integrative nutrition health coach. And I'm just beyond grateful for you sharing this lifestyle cleanse with me. You've changed my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I really appreciate that.